are flat, and what better way to stay fit and in the game by going for a surf skate. Today I'm trying out two different board brands, arguably the two biggest in the game, to see which one I like better. Let's get into it. If you're new here, my name is Kale. I'm a filmmaker and a free surfer, and here you'll find all sorts of epic surf content like tutorials to help you surf better, important reviews, and more. So subscribe down below and join me on Instagram at Kale's Broccoli. Here's what's coming up. This one looks sick. That was fun. That was cool. Let's try the SMOOTHSTAR. Testing for three main things. Well, after a big morning, let's chat about the verdict. It just wasn't as responsive.
Would definitely take that with me.
Yeah.
Board, it feels like it'd be like a wider, longer board.
I remember when I was 18, I was up the coast and I was surfing with some friends, and before they went out in the water, they just brought out all these surf skates and they rode them, and I remember trying it back then and I hated it. So I didn't touch another surf skate for about 8 years. Full transparency, I've been using SMOOTHSTAR's boards with clients mostly for the past year. So I'm quite familiar with how they work. I haven't used CARVERs a lot. This one looks sick though. If you have a look at it, I mean, it kind of looks like a mini surfboard. This is their collaboration with Mayhem. It's really cool. The truck seems a lot stiffer than the SMOOTHSTAR. This one tends to, that might be because I've used this one more, it's a little bit looser, but I don't know, it could be good, it could be a bad thing. I'm interested to see which one I like more. This one definitely looks cooler. The surf skates really are a fantastic way to get repetitive on-land training in for surfing. One of the biggest challenges with surfing is that, unless you're in a wave pool, it's pretty hard to get lots of waves on demand to just try tricks over and over again. By skating, we can line up and repeat our current training at a high frequency, leading to faster progression. When I was younger, I used to skate a bunch, but only on regular boards. These surf skates differ in their overall shape and in their front trucks. These front trucks rotate, which changes the way the board moves across the ground and how it responds to your body movements. That's the theory anyway. Testing for three main things. The first one is speed generation and flow. So that is how effectively each board simulates and responds to what I consider proper speed generation technique. Number two, I'm going to be testing for rotational potential. So that is how tight of an arc I can create without kicking the tail and lifting the front of the board upwards. This will essentially form the basis for maneuver training. And number three, practicality. This is just getting from A to B. So if you want to check the surf or head down the shops, which board would you be more likely to use and which one would be just more enjoyable and easy? Importantly, I'm also going to ask any strangers or surfers who rock up today, we'll see, to test the boards as well, just to eliminate any kinetic bias, because I have been working with SMOOTHSTAR for the last year. Speed generation on a wave starts with the upper torso creating a twisting and torquing pressure on the hips, and then the feet, which should drive into the board and then press us forward. By creating an undulating flowing motion with the body, you can move up and down the wave to build speed before releasing it into a big maneuver. It's an essential part of surfing because all turns have speed generation technique as their foundation. Let's try the CARVER first. That was fun. That was cool. Let's try the SMOOTHSTAR. speed generation, super close. I just found that when I was on the Carver, it took a little bit to get going, and probably felt like it was more similar to riding like a big fish or something. It just it didn't respond as actively as the SMOOTHSTAR did. I felt like once it was going, I could keep up the flow quite nicely on the Carver, but it just took a little bit more. And also turning, it felt like my legs were burning a lot more. It took a lot more work to get the board to turn. But I felt like the SMOOTHSTAR was just sort of more responsive, a lot more responsive. And then once I was going, I had to keep up the flow, which is a lot closer to surfing. There was less of a skateboard feel about it. It just tended to move a lot more actively and be a little bit more responsive in how it turned and things like that. So I think speed generation and flow, I'm going to give it to the SMOOTHSTAR by 1 or 2 points. Midway through our test, somebody told me that Carver have a more surf-specific truck, the C7, than the one I'm currently using on the Mayhem model, the CX. So I managed to get my hands on a setup that has a C7 system underneath to try that too. To be honest, I'm still not super impressed with the responsiveness of the system. It's not just about pumping forward either, but also how the board doesn't seem to flow between maneuvers as well. On the Carver, I find myself losing speed once I do a turn compared to the SMOOTHSTAR, which tends to roll between turns just like a surfboard would. It responds really well to me getting compressed and low and then extending into the next turn, which, mind you, is an area of surfing that I have to focus on with all my students. Go, yep, and then up, and then clap over here. Yep, yeah. But you look. Yeah, it looks cool.
Felt good. It felt sort of easier to adapt than the other one.
Yeah.
The other one felt harder to like get used to.
Yeah.
But this one's sort of more fun, I think, when you get going.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I don't know. They're both pretty fun.
Yeah.
And the Carver feels like it'd be like a wider, longer board, whereas the SMOOTHSTAR feels like a predominant performance short board.
Now let's compare the Carver and the SMOOTHSTAR for rotational potential. Good rotation in surfing is super important if you're looking to add a spark to all your turns, to be able to flow dynamically across the wave whilst expressing power output through your maneuvers. I'm trying to work through a forehand top turn here, and also throwing in a few roundhouse cutbacks. These will help me gauge the relative crossover to surfing of each board. Ideally, I want to see tight, controllable turning arcs which don't lose speed throughout. In this test, the SMOOTHSTAR really outshone the CARVER by a long way, at least a few points. I'm guessing the difference is mainly attributed to the technology in the truck. If you look at all three from the side, when you rotate the truck you can notice some differences in the way they respond and the angle at which they turn. I think the angles on the SMOOTHSTAR allow for a smoother turn with sharper rotational potential, and this translates into better performance. Definitely a performance that more closely matches surfing. Importantly, on a surfboard, you can't just push along the wave to build speed. You need to pop up and get going immediately, and if we compare the three boards in immediate speed potential, which is a reflection of responsiveness in the board, SMOOTHSTAR once again takes the cake. Now, let's run the boards through their final test, practicality, getting from A to B. This test is for those who don't really care about surf-specific carryover or training. It's for those who just want a board to go and check the surf from their house before paddling out or to cruise around at the skate park. .67 seconds from the end sign to this last van. Now I'm going to try the SMOOTHSTAR. The SMOOTHSTAR was 24.94, basically 25 seconds. So only over, what's that, 100 meters, say? It's quite a significant time difference. And I also had to put in some more pumps. So this one, definitely the SMOOTHSTAR is not as fast, perhaps not as practical as getting from A to B. Let's wrap up everything and give you guys a final analysis. Overall, I definitely think that for surf training, for surf specific carryover, it's very hard to go past the SMOOTHSTAR. Simply because I think it better mimics the surf movements required to rip and get moving. This is probably a reflection of the ethos of the brand itself. SMOOTHSTAR have been, from the get-go, all about surfing, and I think the boards are a result of that. Being so responsive, they are definitely harder for a beginner to get used to, but so is surfing, and if surfing better is your goal, then it makes sense to me to challenge yourself and train with the most specific tools you can. SMOOTHSTAR is just that, specific to surfing. CARVER, I'll give it to them, are typically seen as a cooler brand, appealing more likely to the aesthetics rather than function, with the biggest example of this being the small area to place your back foot on the Mayhem model. So I don't like my foot hanging off the edge so much. To achieve a surfboard shape and sacrifice that area at the back for your back foot, which is incredibly important, I felt like it's just an indicator that their priorities are maybe out of place. I think I'd rather something functional. Now, the CARVER was much easier for my lab rats to adapt to because they respond less and are more stable, but this could have its drawbacks. Beginners aren't likely to develop stronger balance riding the CARVER, and intermediate surfers aren't likely to practice more radical turns on it either. One of the most telling side-by-sides I think we can look at from this test is the rotational potential. We see on the CARVERs that my body is unable to really come off center, something required in surfing to turn really well. This is because the trucks won't flex enough to allow it. On the SMOOTHSTAR, you can see I'm well off center, and if we compare this to surfing, it's actually a really close simulation. The CARVER generally feels a little bit locked up. Even the videos that I've seen of the pros or whoever uses CARVER, they all seem to be more drawn out unless they're tail sliding. But I'm not a big fan of tail sliding on skateboards for ocean training because it's a lot harder to tail slide with 3 fins under you in the water. So I think that overall, the SMOOTHSTAR definitely takes the cake when it comes to surf training. But if you're just looking for a board to get from A to B, to leave the house, grab a coffee, go and check the surf and come home, that's where I can see going more towards a regular skateboard, which I think what this is, could be an advantage. For me, especially as a coach and especially someone interested in improving surf performance, I think 100% I'll go with the SMOOTHSTAR every time.
That one over there, what's that one
That's
called?
called the SMOOTHSTAR.
That's definitely a little bit harder to get used to,
Yeah.
if you haven't skated too much before. And that one, super fun, super easy to get used to. Yeah, would definitely take that with me.
Yeah. If you had to pick one that was closer to surfing, which one would you?
Definitely the SMOOTHSTAR. Yeah, definitely. Just the movements, I guess, are pretty similar to surfing and would help to progress, I guess, with your surfing as well.
So, for someone wanting a surf trainer, which one do they get?
Definitely the SMOOTHSTAR, for sure, yeah. Having the Carver being a tighter board, it feels like it'd be like a wider, longer board, whereas the SMOOTHSTAR feels like a predominant, like performance short board.
For someone wanting an A to B cruiser, what do they get?
Definitely the Carver. If you're just looking to get from A to B, yeah, Carver for sure.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments which is your favourite surf technique to practice using the surf skates. I'll be sure to upload more content based off your feedback, all of it so that you can improve your surfing as quickly and effectively as possible.